All right, I've said this about my next guest a lot on my radio program, but this is the first time he's joining us on television. The last book that my father read, well, he was reading it while he was going through cancer treatment. The last book my father read before he died was The Last Patriot, the 7th book in the Scott Harvath character series by Brad Thor. And I still have the copy. I keep it in my home office where I do my research. He is my next guest. He's the author of Rising Tiger, #1 best-selling author, Brad Thor. Thanks for coming on the program.
Oh, my pleasure, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
All right, so what is this like? How many books is this with this character that you've created?
It's 21, but I tell people it's like the James Bond movies. It doesn't matter if you've never seen a Bond film before. You can go to the theater and see the latest one and not be lost. And that's the way I write my books. You can pick them up at any point in the series.
You have been this 20. How many years have you've been writing through this character?
2 decades, yeah, 20 years. Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so he's a former Navy SEAL. He works for a private security firm, correct?
Private intelligence company.
Taking
the weight off the CIA. Yeah.
Taking the weight off the CIA, and he's been all around the world. But Rising Tiger is unique because the backdrop is a rarity for spy novels and thrillers. Tell me about it.
Well, none of my contemporaries had been to India, and I like to take a real-life geopolitical issue in the world and use that as the backdrop for a thriller. So 2 summers ago, in real life, this happened. A group of Chinese soldiers crept through the Himalayas over to the Indian side, this disputed border region called the Line of Actual Control, and it was like something out of Walking Dead. There are no firearms allowed here, so the Chinese soldiers made their own weapons. Iron rods studded with spikes, baseball bats wrapped with barbed wire like Negan, and there was a 6-hour bloody hand-to-hand melee that happened. Real life, this happened. And I was fascinated, and I thought, how might you do a spy novel in this part of the world starting with that? And I said, what if the U.S. was secretly trying to get India into an Asian version of NATO? And I said, that's it. The Chinese would go ballistic. They'd try to kill anybody involved. They would do whatever they could to sabotage that kind of alliance with India. And by the way, the fascinating thing about setting this in India is the United States is the world's oldest democracy, but India is the world's largest. They're a natural partner for the United States on many levels. And as you and I discussed, Andrew, we are over-reliant for so many things, so much manufacturing out of China. And we learned that much to our detriment during the initial throes of COVID. So the less we can have to do with China, the more we can have to do with India. That's all good. And to set all of that against a fictional spy thriller was a lot of fun.
Well, I could say we've talked about this on radio. There may be a film version of the Scott Harvath character coming real soon, right? And if you're talking the latest novel or maybe a composite of a few stories that might make up a feature-length film, I mean, Bollywood, Hollywood, India loves us. It could be a great international film.
I have 2 very cool. I wanted to create a character to lead my main American character, Scott Harvath, through India. And I've always loved the Sean Connery character in Untouchables. And I said, I want to get like an older Indian ex-cop that has an even better sense of humor than Connery had in Untouchables. And I have heard from more fans about that character and a female Indian intelligence officer. So, and in my mind, they're based on 2 big Bollywood actors. So I would love to go over and film in India because the support and infrastructure there is fantastic. It'd be a lot of fun to do that.
All right, I got to talk to you about other things. Look, you talk to a lot of people inside the intelligence apparatus in our institutions. I feel like Americans are losing faith in institutions of government under Biden, and I have serious concerns about China and Hunter Biden and look, even some of these establishment Republicans. It seems like the Chinese have their tentacles in everything in this country.
They absolutely do. In fact, my daughter is an East Asian Studies major, and she is a minor in Chinese. I'm hoping she ends up going to work at Langley when she graduates. And it's really interesting because we had a discussion about this. Her professors hate the Chinese Communist Party. She has professors who were born in China who are American citizens. And it's interesting because even throughout academia, there are some Chinese funded programs throughout the United States. And if your university has one of those, you can't get DoD funding, which goes to a lot of campuses. And a lot of people don't know that the Department of Defense does this. So China has its tentacles everywhere. And I really think the Trump administration did a fabulous job. And full disclosure, very good friend of mine since college is Robert O'Brien, the former national security advisor under President Trump. And Robert always says that throughout history, the greatest theft, worse than the booty stolen from the sacking of Rome, was what China has pulled out of the United States via intellectual property theft. China is an enemy of the United States. We are overly reliant on them. And they do, Andrew, you're right, have their tentacles everywhere. And we should be looking to get the garden shears out, or better yet, the chainsaw, and be slicing these off wherever we find them.
I'd like to see the Harvath character, looking into the honeypot operations. Eric Swalwell says, oh, this is nothing. I've been investigated. I want to know how many of these female Chinese spies are getting close to politicians. I don't care what party they are, okay? Putting an R next to your name, if you're talking to the Chinese and you're giving them any intelligence on the United States, I don't care who you are, but these honeypot operations are real.
Absolutely. And in fact, it's so funny you should say that. Last summer, my book, Black Ice, I had a Chinese honeypot operation in it. And I explained how it worked and how the Ministry for State Security in Beijing puts these women up to do these things in the United States. So you are right on the money, Andrew. This is all stuff. And you know what? There's so much that we think divides us in this country. We've become, reds versus blues. But there's more that unites us. And we all should be united behind not wanting China to slip operatives into Congress or getting them close to representatives, be they Republican or Democrats. This is important for all of us.
Yeah, we have to watch them in the Pentagon, in the defense industry, in the biotech firms. We have to watch them in the universities. Where
TikTok?
TikTok, they're stealing. I mean, I was entertained to look up, if you look up reverse engineering, the Chinese are master. We're going to run out of time here, and we can do this all day, and I'll bring you back on radio. If you type in Chinese F-150, you will see a pickup truck with a blue oval. It's for all intents and purposes, is a Ford F-150. They had all the schematics, everything, and they're building these trucks. And I don't know if the automobile companies can't do anything about it, or they don't want to, because maybe that's how they access the Chinese market. They are literally stealing everything from us.
And that's what happens when you live in a totalitarian state where the individual is not prized above everything else. There is no creativity. All the Chinese can do is steal. They cannot innovate because they don't empower individuals to think freely. So that's what they do. They steal and they steal and they steal. They steal from everybody, but they steal very heavily from us, and we need to be taking it a lot more seriously.
I will say, just real quick, I only got 30 seconds. How long does it take you, start to finish, to publish a book?
I put out one every summer at this time, so I do book a year. It's a lot of work.
I don't know how you do it.